Hey everybody, the Supervator 400 here, back for another review, and this time, this is my long-awaited in-depth review of the 2014 I, Frankenstein. I did two reviews on my Doug 8798 channel, but I didn't like those, so I decided to redo it here on my Supervator 400 channel. There will also be a narration version, a short narration version on my Doug 8798 channel with this version in the description box below. But yeah, I've been trying to review this movie for a long time, but I kept putting it off and on. I've also just been reviewing other movies and TV shows, but finally it's here, the 2014 film I, Frankenstein. I initially wanted to see this film when it came out in January of 2014, but I really wasn't in a good mood at that time, so I decided to wait till it was out on DVD. I later got to see it. I later got to see it later that year, and despite the fact this film was panned by critics and barely made back its budget. It made about $71 million with a budget of $65 million. Dollars. I think this film right here is one of the greatest and most underrated comic book films of all time. I would even put this film above the big budget Marvel Studios movies, the big budget DC Extended Universe films, the so-called greatest films of all time, like the Christopher Nolan trilogy, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy, the Bryan Singer or 20th Century Fox X-Men film series, all the great movies that are out there, all the great comic book films that are out there. I would put this film above the I will put this film above those. There is never a dull moment in this film. I've never seen the comic, but the concept has been in my opinion the best adaptation of Frankenstein I've ever seen. You see, this is why people hated this film. People hated this film because the writer of I, Frankenstein, I think her name is Marv Shelley, who wrote the Frankenstein novel in the 1800s. People were probably expecting an adaptation of her story. Instead, what they failed to realize, this is a story about Frankenstein, but it's not a story about the Marv Shelley Frankenstein novel. No, this is based on a graphic novel, a comic book created by Kevin Grievous, who also appeared as one of the gargoyles in this series. I think he's also director and producer of the Underworld series, which this is also criticized for. Some see this as a ripoff of the Underworld series, not understanding that the guy behind this and some of the people behind this also created the Underworld series. This series is so awesome. I'm gonna check out the Underworld series. I've never took the time to watch the Underworld series, but after seeing how awesome this film was, I gotta check that out. And so yeah, people were expecting the Marv Shelley novel and got this story, and then as even though as good as this story was, I guess people also just really don't care much for Frankenstein in the 2010s, despite this being probably the best, in my opinion, the best adaptation of Frankenstein I've ever seen. I've seen lots of good adaptations of him, but I think this one right here is the best. I think it's even better than Frankenstein movie, the upcoming Frankenstein movie that's part of the newly relaunched Monster Cinematic Universe, which I'm going to talk about again on this channel. Um, but yeah, I would put, like I said, I would put this film above the Marvel Studios and DC Extended Universe film. This film right here is that awesome. Is that awesome. Never a dull moment. Never a dull moment in this film. All lots of exciting action, awesome CGI despite the lower budget, despite $65 million. Awesome CGI and the cast. This is one of the things that was praised. The cast of the actors in this film, man. Like I said, I'm disappointed that there won't be a follow up to this movie. there probably won't be a follow-up to this movie, even though Kevin Grievous, the creator of the I Frankenstein novel, the graphic novel, said that he would like to do more scenes, and there was even some Easter eggs and deleted scenes and post-credit scenes, but none of that was used in the film. None of that was used in the film, but like I said, and I think this is Aaron Eckhart. This film stars Aaron Eckhart, who portrayed Harvey Two-Face in The Dark Knight. I think this film right here is his best role ever. Even, of course, way better than The Dark Knight. I don't like The Dark Knight, but this film right here is way better than that movie right here. Um, the plot of this film is Dr. Frankenstein creates a monster made up of various corpses and gives life to the creature. Gives life to the does the impossible and gives life to the creature. Horrified by what he's created, he tries to kill Frankenstein by tossing it out the window. Frankenstein survives and comes back and kills his wife in a blind rage. Dr. Frankenstein chases chases the Frankenstein monster through the cold, but the Frankenstein monster survives, and Dr. Frankenstein succumbs to the weather and dies. Um, Frankenstein, the Frankenstein monster buries Dr. Frankenstein. Dr. Frankenstein. One day in the cemetery, the Frankenstein monster is attacked by demons. He successfully fends himself off, but then has to be rescued by a couple of gargoyles, and the two gargoyles, Keziah and Ophir, take him back to the queen of the gargoyles, Leonore, who explains to him that they're a group of guardian angels. They're a group of guardian angels created by the, what was it again? Created by the Archangel Michael to battle demons on Earth and protect the humanity. Thank you, Wikipedia. Um, and it is here where it is here where they name the creature Adam. They name the creature Adam, and they tell him, and he gets and they tell him to assist them in the battle, in the war between the gargoyles, that's the good guys, Leonore's people, and the bad guys, the demons, led by Queen Nibirius. Um, Adam declines. Adam declines, saying his life is his own. He wants to find his own purpose in the world, so he leaves. But they give him a weapon, that a knife that a knife used to scratch and carve their name into demons, which will descend the demons all the way back to hell, so for 100 years he travels the earth. He travels the earth looking for answers. On one night, he's attacked by one of Queen Nibirius's men. Um, he successfully fends off Nibirius's demon, and the demon. But in doing so, he accidentally gets one of the cops killed. A cop killed, and Nibirius's demon returns to King Nibirius. King Nibirius to tell him about the Frankenstein creature. Nibirius smacks Nibirius slaps the henchman for not trying to capture the Frankenstein monster. Instead taking his tail between his legs and returning here to talk about the monster. Meanwhile, the gargoyles kidnap and imprison Adam for accidentally getting that human killed. And then Nibirius rounds up his best troops to to storm the castle and kidnap the Frankenstein monster. The gargoyles protect Adam, and Adam convinces Ophir Ophir to give him a weapon and let him fight for his life, and Adam assists in the battle, but Queen Leonore gets captured. Queen Leonore gets captured, and of course Gideon, who has been against Adam, who has been against Adam since the beginning, and wants Queen Leonore to kill Adam, to deny Nibirius his prize and just straight up kill Adam, and gives Gideon Nibirius gives Nibirius a sacred book in exchange for Leonore's life. Meanwhile, Dr. Nibirius's scientist, what was her name again? Um, oh yeah, Tara Wade, portrayed by Yvonne Straho- Stra- Strahovski, is trying to do the impossible, and that's reanimate a corpse by producing electricity by electrocuting a rat. This part of the film I liked right here because they actually try to make Frankenstein. This part is also scary because they try to make Frankenstein seem like he could be something real. He could be real. Make Frankenstein seem real. Here she tries to reanimate a corpse by reanimating a dead rat, and she claims that it's easier to reanimate animals but harder to reanimate a human. And Nibirius, who's disguised as a human, um, tells her tells her that have she's ever heard of Dr. Frankenstein, and then she laughs it off and dismisses Dr. Frankenstein as a myth, a horror story to scare children, and then she questions that if Dr. Frankenstein really created a Frankenstein monster, why didn't Frankenstein use his gifts to help the world cure paralysis and stuff like that? And he said, well, Dr. Frankenstein wasn't as memorandous and wasn't as magical as you are, And then she says, well, every scientist has a note. Every scientist has a note of their work. And then he says, even when their experiments end in failure. And then she said, it has never been found. Just because something has never been found doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Saying lots of true stuff. Then the biggest one at the end was said, how could it survive for so long? How could it survive for so long? It'd have to be dead by now. Did Nibirius said, it's the first of its kind. It's the first of its kind. Who do you know? How do you know it's never survived for several years? So like I said, I love this scene because they made Frankenstein seem real. Meanwhile, Adam storms Nibirius's castle looking for the book, which is the book is a key to his the book is a key to his life. It tells him who he is. It tells him who he is. Um the book he gets the book and later escapes. Meanwhile, also during this time he meets he meets Tara. He meets and befriends Tara. This becomes the first human he cares about. Prior to this, his life was his own. He didn't care about humans, gargoyles, or demons. He just wanted to find his own answers in the world. Find his own answers in the world. And of course, so then midway, then he returns to Eleanor's place. He returns to Leonore's place, and scolds her for keeping the book from him, and then he tells Leonore King Nibirius's plans to reanimate a corpse reanimate a corpse and use a demon soul to possess it. Use a demon soul to possess it, and Queen Lenore says, "Tell us where he is. We're your friends." And he says he won't do that unless he won't. Adam says he won't do that unless the gargoyles guarantee him his and Tara's safety. His and Tara's safety. Leonore promises. Then when he leaves, orders Gideon to kill him, and and Adam accidentally kills Adam is forced to kill and descend Nibirius. I also forgot when the demons are killed, they descend to hell. When the gargoyles are killed, their soul their soul leaves their body and goes up to the sky, which is referred to as descending. It is here where Queen Leonore and the rest of her men try to stop Adam, and Adam successfully evades them in one spectacular scene where Adam charges at one gargoyle, jumps up in the air like Superman, and bam, drops it with a punch, and then falls over, and the gargoyles give chase to him. And then it is here where he accidentally leads them to where Nibirius's demons are, and this huge gargoyle and demon fight breaks out, and then it is here where Adam goes to rescue Tara, who got kidnapped earlier by Kevin Grievicks's character. What was his character's name? Got kidnapped by Decker, who is the high ranking demon in Nibirius's demon army. Got kidnapped by him, and he goes to rescue her, and then a battle between him and Nibirius, who finally reveals his true demon form. A battle, what you call this, outmatch, and it's almost has his body possessed by a demon, but Adam regrows his own soul and uses the distraction to carve a symbol into Nibirius, completely descending him and destroying what was left of all of his demons. The film ends with Queen Leonore with Adam apologizing for Gideon's death. Queen Leonore forgives him and tells him he already found his purpose in the world, and I, Frankenstein, declares now that he has a purpose. His purpose is to defend humanity. He is a descender of demons. He is I, Frankenstein. Like I said, beautiful movie, awesome movie, underrated too. I would put this above all the big blockbusters I saw this year, above all the big budget comic book films I saw. I love their reimagining of the Frankenstein character. This is the best version of Frankenstein I've ever seen, and there are lots of cool versions of Frankenstein, but this one right here, in my opinion, is the best one. I like how they I loved Akenhardt's character in this film. In this film, he didn't know his place in the world. He wanted to find his own answers. He didn't care about demons or gargoyles. And he's also not totally a hero either, because he in a blind rage he killed Dr. Frankenstein's wife in the beginning. Then he accidentally got a cop killed, a normal human killed earlier in the film, and then practically just by the gargoyles keeping him there, a lot of gargoyles got killed because of him. So he's not really a hero, but he's not really a villain too. He's nowhere near being a villain. He isn't evil. And this really made Frankenstein an interesting character. Then he goes through a character arc throughout this film, learning more answers about his past. He meets Tara. The the first human he's actually one of the first people he actually cares about. And then of course in the final battle, he finally grows his own soul and discovers his purpose. Like I said, this was an awesome film, and I would love to see more films based on his characters. Like I said, I don't think there'll be a film because of the poor box office reception. It made about $71 million with a budget of 65 million, and it was panned by critics. But critics praised the visuals, and they praised the cast, who like said the cast was awesome. Um, Not familiar with anyone in this film with the exception of Aaron Eckhart and of course Jai Courtney, who was most recently in Jai Courtney, who portrayed Gideon, who was most recently in Suicide Squad, and of course Kevin Grievous, who of course was the writer of the I Frankenstein novel, was graphic novel. I have to read that I Frankenstein graphic novel someday. And like I said, this film was so awesome. I now want to check out the Underworld series. So yeah, I'll be watching and reviewing that in the future. Well, this was my long, in-depth review of I Frankenstein. Next time I'll do a video review of this review. I just don't know where to upload it yet. All right, I'm done.